Hey YouTube, Coppersan here. Today, an important notice regarding future content, nerfs to Kanna's spawn boosting skill Kishin, a juicy compensation, and big news about the 64-bit client was posted in a MapleStory Memo. But before we dive into that, I think it's important to note why this memo was posted in the first place. Over the last few weeks, a lot of Maplers have been calling and participating in a boycott, urging Maplers to not spend any NX cash until Nexon shares more information about the plans that they have for the future regarding the many issues the game has at the moment. Channel crashes, server lag, seriously, ask any NA reboot player about how laggy the server is, it's really bad. It has been unplayable for days. Changes to Starforce prices, spawn enhancers, all of those were topics for the organizers of the boycott, and thankfully we got some answers. So honestly, thanks to the people that participated in that and set that up. Without them, Nexon would most likely not even have communicated any of this. Nexon's communication has been a big point of improvement for most of us Maplers, especially after Nexon promised to communicate better. Now, some might think like, it's probably not that bad, right? He probably promised that once. But here's a small list of times Nexon promised to communicate better. I understand that sometimes we disappoint you and that many of you are concerned about the way we communicate about it. I feel responsible for it, and I believe communication with you is one of our goals for every other 21 years. Such we can improve our communication and interact. And those are all just from last year. Now here's an example of Nexon clearly communicating that there, for example, is an out-of-band bug that's affecting beast tamers. And here are the posts discussing our Starforce pricing and why our price for Starforcing is so much higher than in other servers. So, to me, this boycott made a lot of sense, and today's notice was long overdue. You can find more information about the boycott in the video description. Again, my thanks to everyone who spoke with their wallets and forced Nexon to open up, even if it was just ever so slightly, about what they actually plan to do. So let's get into the memo. The first part speaks about the massive amount of lag and server issues Reboot has had over these last few weeks, if not months, because they haven't really found a way to resolve the issue yet and are still working on it. Okay. That's understandable. Not sure why it would take a boycott for Nexon to tell us that they're looking into it. In my opinion, this could have been posted weeks ago, but okay. Maybe Nexon could create a second reboot server and they could do a free transfer event to divide the population a bit more, since I think most of the issues are kinda unsolvable, else they would have found something else to make it better by now, right? Also, because our NA reboot friends are suffering, we're all getting a ton of level up potions, 100 symbol selector coupons, a 30-day sherbet vecpad, that's the same one that we had from the previous big compensation, some master craftsman and meister cubes, and a lot of maple tour passes. Those will be rewarded with the next update coming in February. Not really sure how some NA reboot players will use those, since they're lagging so hard they can't even play. The compensation is nice, but I think everyone would be a lot happier if the issues got resolved. There has to be something they can do. The next part of the memo mentions Kanna and that Kishin will be modified. That's Kanna's spawn booster skill. I need to pull up my Twitter here because I was predicting a lot of stuff that would happen with this memo, and I can finally cross this one of my tweets. Kishin will lose its spawn increase effect and instead will give a 10% bonus EXP buff. In my opinion, I think Kishin should have been changed to this already years ago. Now it feels super bad for the people that are actively playing Kanna and put a lot of time into this class, so I can imagine all the Kanna mains being very upset. I do hope Nexon makes totems more flexible as a response to the Kishin nerf, but we didn't see anything about that in the memo. I think the totem should work like those free snail pets you get in Reboot. The use time for that pet only starts running when you're actually using it, so when it's actually active. If it's not active, the timer stays the same. If totems did the same as that, I could just unequip my totem when I'm done grinding and continue the next day until the duration runs out. That would be much more convenient. Kanna being the only class that could boost the spawn rate naturally with her skills was actually very unbalanced, so I'm fine with that change. But Nexon did not yet address other ways to improve our farming with spawn boosters, which is definitely missing from this memo in my opinion. This change to Kanna will happen in the summer this year. Then Nexon shared a small roadmap with the content they plan to bring out over the first half of this year. In February there's going to be the Choo Choo Food Festival. This is similar to the event we had before our winter update, with a special window where you can select buffs for your characters, like bonus EXP, more damage, etc. for the duration of the event. You can gain skill points by completing daily missions. It's really similar to the Night Trope event, just another reskin of that. This update will also see improvements to the Tower of Oz. It will most likely add monster outlines so we can see monsters better behind our massive skill animations, and some reboot quality of life changes like the Day of the Week badges from Monster Park can now be bought in the Monster Park store for 15 billion mesos. In Reboot, bags will be sold for mesos in general stores, and the same goes for droplets that will be sold in Lachelin and general stores at other higher level areas. These are just some of the changes MapleStory Korea received that patch, so we can expect something similar for that for us in Maple Global. March is actually where the really nice update is happening, if everyone isn't jumping to Lost Ark already in February. In March, the 64-bit client is planned to be released, which hopefully once and for all helps us get rid of memory leaks. The 64-bit client also had other optimizations done to improve gameplay. I have been playing MapleStory Korea for a while now to check out the new Explorer revamps, and the game over there is very smooth and very fast. But I also remember there were a ton of issues with the release of the 64-bit client in MapleStory Korea, so I'm not expecting a smooth launch. Also, the Yeti X Pink Bean World event is finally going to be released in March. Maples can play as the Yeti and Pink Bean class and complete a step-up event for rewards. This event rewards the best tile in the game, so make sure to participate in this one. Then, only in the summer update, we'll get the boss crystal and boss drop changes that were supposed to happen with the update we're currently on. I'm expecting Nexon to make manual adjustments to the boss pricing, unlike the automatic price changes that are happening in the MapleStory Korea version. This update was supposed to be released already in December, like this update, and it should change our boss crystal prices, but that was delayed for an unknown reason. I'm really missing more clarity here from this notice. I think Nexon is just throwing some information our way without adding any depth to it. I think the why is just as important as the information itself, and I'm really missing that here. And there is some content changes that we're getting at one point in the first half of this year. We're getting housing, which looks really fun. I can't wait to deck out my own house like in MapleStory 2. Vac pads are coming to reboot at one point in the first half of this year, but those are probably going to be very expensive. And Nexon mentions that they want to lower the Starforce enhancements cost by about 20%. Just as a reminder, our Starforce prices are very high compared to other servers. I know I sound a bit like a broken record here, but I really want to know why the Starforce rates are the way they are and what justifies a 20% reduction. I think it would be great to get more clarity on how meshes are obtained and what the higher Starforce price and the 20% decrease are actually based on. Of course, I'm happy with the price drop, but I'm really curious why suddenly a 20% reduction is possible. Is it because enough people complained and started the boycott? Honestly, to me, it feels like Nexon is just throwing us a bone without, again, providing any reasoning why this reduction is suddenly possible. And this makes me feel really bad. In my opinion, Nexon really needs to treat their players, their customers, with more respect and as adults. We're not kids anymore who don't understand why some changes are made. The whole "we're balancing stuff this way because we say so" just doesn't work anymore in this day and age. I don't really want to know why some changes are made so I can disagree with them. I just want to understand why so I can also understand the reasoning. Because right now, I don't. Honestly, I feel like Nexon is scamming me because they're withholding all this information from me that I want to use so I can come hopefully to the same conclusion as them. And while I think this memo is a good starting point for 2022, I'm actually very disappointed that it required a boycott for it to happen. So much for more communication and clarity, I suppose. Also, important things like the cube rank up and line appearance rates have not been mentioned or revealed yet. Neither was there anything mentioned about the massive amount of bugs every update brings and what's being planned to mitigate those. Some bugs stay in the game for months without being properly addressed. Makes it really feel like MapleStory Global is run on a skeleton development crew to save as much cost as possible, without actually providing a decent service to their Western audience. What do you think about the memo yourself? Let me know in the comments. And that was all for today. My rant is over. As always, many thanks to our members for making this video possible. Thanks to Niels de Coninck, Raar maar waar, Sebastian Hanoy, FLX, Ryalias, Kim, Vareese, Saudi Mora, Wiley, Francisco Sousa, Historycanon, BackSpaceOTI, Saffronyx, Lonzo, BG Extremes, Anwar NHI, Frank Bouquet, Ziggy Deer, Flidiot, BWT, Knifesu, Chen125, Cloudfix, Gusus Rodriguez, Froggy11, Sir-Tito655, Gleason, Brennan Cam, Vira, Trevor, Michael Machaka, Ratius, Lucky Beats, Justin Vale, Silvio Nato, Stevie Zhang, Afterlord_MS, Heopan, ceemak, Joshua Alvarez, Striker Elk, Nokem SS, Niu, Taiduan Pan, Victor Sundstrom, Radicals the Alien, Stanislaus Kosumo Begas, Riser RU, Eddie Reacts to Things, Dular, Gummy Bullet, Leon Riddle, Booty Warrior GT, Jeremy Stodler, Mr. Anarch, Lovebird, Rev Soli, Ruski TV, Yo Mama, Matthias Simonson, Caveman, oh yeah, Galando Belavia, I'm disappointed. And our newest member, who I think made this account specially for this. My name is Coppersan and I'm super cute, XOXO. Thank you so much for your support. I feel like my member perks are getting slightly abused over here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. And as always, happy mapling.